Well, all right, here's another tune off of Don Reno's A Song for Everyone album, and this is called Coffee Cup, and it's probably my favorite tune off this particular album because Don just really adds everything he can think of into this song. He really goes all out on it. It's just his breaks just really make the whole song. And you'll notice that I have a capo on the second fret. We're going to be playing in the key of D, but we're going to be playing out of a C position. Okay, I know a lot of people think that Don never used a capo, but he did. He used a capo quite a bit, especially in the early years on records. And not long after this album was recorded, I think this was recorded in '65, Don kind of abandoned the capo completely, even on records. But anyway, we're going to be playing out of this C position. And let's go over the chord progression first. The kickoff is going to be C, F, and we're going to walk down to a D minor. Okay, then we go to a G, and back to a C. And it kicks off kind of like a standard tune would do in C. You've probably done this many times. Okay, I'm just hitting the first fret on the second string, or actually and the G string open, and then the second fret on the G string, then your second string open, and then back to your first fret on the second string. And we're going to start rolling forward, starting on the fifth. Okay? Now I'll pull it off on the second fret on the third string, and then hit the second fret on the fourth string, so we get that melody. Okay, what I'm doing there is I'm going to the F chord, and I'm doing a Dixie breakdown roll. If you're familiar with Dixie breakdown, it has a forward roll, 1, 2, 3, and then back with the index finger. And I'm rolling on the fourth, second, and first strings. Back to the second string on the end of it. Then walk this fourth string down on the second fret. And then your D string open. Okay, now I'm doing a D minor position there, but you don't really have to do that if you don't want to. It's just a habit that I'm doing it because I know that's where the chord's going. Because what we're going to do when we hit this D minor chord, we hit the D note on your fourth string first, and then we're going to roll forward, and we're going to roll back. We're going to roll, let's roll forward, but we're going to roll on your third string from your second fret to your first fret to your open note on your G string. So it sounds like this. All right. Kind of hard to do slow. Okay, now I'm catching part of that D minor on the first string there. And you can do that. Okay, as long as you get that melody in there. Okay, let me play all of that up to that point. Okay, when we come out of that, we're going to roll forward, sliding from the second to the fourth fret on the third string. It's all forward. And then we're going to come back to the fifth, and this is a little tricky thing here, and it's real typical of Don's playing. It adds a little pop to it, or a little, I don't know what you want to call it, maybe like a little hop or a lilt to it. I'm not really sure how to explain it, but he does this a lot. So now I'm rolling forward here, and I'm hitting the 5th, 3rd string open, and then I'm hammering on to the 2nd fret after I've already hit it, and we're still rolling forward, so I'm hitting the 1st string kind of simultaneously when I'm hammering on. And then coming back with the 1st and hitting the 2nd string open. So you're getting this melody and back to your C. So let me play all of that. Okay, and I missed a little note in there. Okay, like I said, it's kind of hard to play slow. You got to get the groove of it to really get it. But that's all there is to the kickoff on it. It's not very hard. Like I said, the only real tricky part maybe would be the walking down from the F and then rolling 1, 2, or from the 2nd to the 1st fret, and then open. Hard to get that timing right on there. Okay, and that's the kickoff to Coffee Cup.
And see that sweet little dish at the coffee cup.
Okay, let's get into this first break, and we're going to be starting up here in this F-shaped C chord. Yeah, it's really a D chord, but we have our capo on, so we'll just refer to everything as if it's in the key of C, just to keep it simple. What we're going to do is we're going to be playing straight out of this C shape to begin with. We're going to pinch the 1st and 2nd strings together. All right, then we're going to roll forward a little bit. We're going to grab this little partial chord I'm sure you're familiar with. It's just like Shucking the Corn or Lonesome Road Blues or something, on your 13th and 14th fret. Back to your C chord, little backwards roll there. Then we're going to go to your F chord, barred F. Then we're going to do the Dixie breakdown roll. So we're going to back that 3rd string up 1. And then to this D minor. So it sounds like this. All right. And then here's a little neat thing that Don does. It sounds cool. It's he's sliding up on the 2nd string to the 14th fret and then back to the 13th fret, but he leaves the 1st string completely open. So it sounds like this. All right. And I'm emphasizing the 2nd string more than the 1st string so it doesn't sound cluttered, and I'm using the 5th string as kind of a timing device. I am hitting the 5th string. You'll have to listen to the record to get it just right, but whoops. All right, and then I'm coming back here to the 10th fret on the 2nd string and still leaving the 1st string open. So, all right. Then we're going to come to a partial barred F chord again in your 3rd and on your 3rd and 2nd strings. And then we're going to do your F shape in your 2nd and your 3rd strings, just a double stop in the middle there to your C chord. So it sounds like this. And then we're going to walk that back down from an E minor to a D minor. It's a pretty common thing Don does. He uses a minor walk down against a major chord. Same thing. So let me play all of that for you. Okay. Now, what I'm doing there is you can either, pinch these double stops, or you can brush them. It's whatever you want it to sound like. But when you brush them, make sure you put the fat of your hand back here on your bridge to mute it just a little bit. All right. So then we go to a C chord again. We're back to C, and we're going to do this C seventh chord. And if you do Dixie Breakdown, you're probably familiar with this chord because it's the same walk, same position you use in Dixie Breakdown. All right, but we're going to make sure we bar our finger across the 3rd fret and hold all 3 strings down, because what we need to do is we're going to pull off the 2nd string on the 5th fret, and we want to make sure that 3rd fret on the 2nd string is held down, so when we pull it off, all right, we get that way it's still, and that's all we're doing. I'm hitting the 3rd string and then pulling up with my 1st and 2nd strings on my right hand. All right, Don used that on quite a bit of tunes. You can use that anywhere. It sounds good. All right. So then we're going to the F again. And this time, instead of walking down from F to a D minor, we're going to play this F7th pull-off lick that Don uses a lot in a lot of tunes, especially things like Big Train or anything involving a train. He'll use this lick. And he likes to play it behind fiddle backup, or behind the fiddle, back it up. And I get asked about this lick a lot. What we're doing is just you're hitting the 4th string, you're setting it up with the thumb on the 4th string, and then you're pulling up with the first 2 fingers of your right hand. And I'm pulling off 2 strings at once, and I'm kind of pulling down but off. It's the same kind of thing here where I'm hitting the thumb and then pulling up with my first 2 fingers. So I'm doing it here on the F. So, and you can mix that up too. See how I'm doing that? You don't have to stick to just one way. Same with the F. Okay. And the cool thing about this part is that he's playing the F7 through the D minor. So it gives it a weird sound. It just sounds good. I don't know how to explain it, but okay. And then here's probably the hardest part of the first break, I'm sorry. Is this little G lick. When he comes out of the F7th, yeah, it's hard to do slow. What I'm doing, you've probably heard him do this, or variations of this, all over the neck, and it's kind of based off of the I know you've heard that before. I've taught it in some of my other DVDs or videos. But what I'm doing is I'm hitting the G string open, and I'm walking up to the 4th fret on this. It's all based out of this G shape on your 5th fret. So I hit the G string open, 1, 2, 3, just right in that chord. And then I'm hitting the 5th fret on the 1st string, And then I'm coming back here. I'm going to hit the 3rd fret on the 1st string. It's all based out of your F7 at this point. Then I'm going to come up here and grab the 5th fret on the 2nd string, and then the 3rd fret on the 2nd string, and then the 5th fret on the 3rd string. And it's a little tricky to explain. You got to get the timing right. When I hit the 5th fret on the 3rd string, I hit the G string open again, and then I'm coming to the 3rd fret and then the 4th fret again, and then I'm hitting open. So all right, let me see if I can play all of that for you. All right. And that's the first break to Coffee Cup.
And see that sweet little dish at the coffee cup.
Okay, let's try this second break here, and boy, this thing is really a doozy. I mean, it's got a lot of things going on, and a lot of it has to do with the double roll that Don's using, similar to the one he used on Double Banjo Blues. If you play Double Banjo Blues, this will come a little easier for you. But it's going to be really hard for me to slow it down, but I think as long as you can get the chord positions and the melody notes right, the rolling will come, with practice. So let's get started on it here. We're going to start out with just a straight C chord, and we're going to start rolling forward on the 5th, 2nd, and 1st. First, let me show you the melody line that you want to be hearing when all this, rolling's going on. You want to hear. We'll come up to this D minor. All right. It's the same melody as Dixie Breakdown. Okay, so it's that. All right. But we're going to be rolling from the 5th to the 1st, or the 5th to the 2nd to the 1st. And we're going to keep that forward double roll going. Okay, like that. Let me play that again. Okay, that's about as slow as I'm gonna be able to do it. All I can say is that you just keep that forward roll going, keep that melody in mind, and it's the same walk down we did for the F. Except instead of hitting the D note open, okay, that we did on the kickoff, same walk down on the 4th fret, or the 4th string, sorry. Okay, we're going to slide up to this D minor. It's a F minor shape, F minor shape, but it's a D minor. Before we hit that open, we don't hit that D string open. Okay, so all right, so what I'm doing there is I'm sliding up to this D minor, and I'm coming down with my ring finger and hitting this melody note on the 14th fret, keeping that double roll going. Kind of doing a little pull off if you want to. Okay, so we're in that D minor at this point. Then we're going to be in G, and we're going to do the Dixie Breakdown chord progressions, which is G, G seventh, C, and back to your G. But we're going to use that same forward double roll, alternating the 5th and the 3rd strings to get that. So we're going to go on the G. Okay. And then we're going to go back to the C. Roll forward, keeping the double roll going. So all right, and then we're going to walk back down to the G using the minor walk down that we talked about before. It was an E minor to a D minor, keeping that double roll going. So okay. And then we're going to go back to the C, but this time it's the same melody notes. We're going to start it on the 3rd string on the 5th fret instead of starting on the 5th. Because remember, we started it out. It's kind of odd because we're starting with the melody note rather than starting the roll and the melody notes in the middle of the roll. But it's a different sound. If you listen to the record, the very first kickoff, he's hitting that 5th string like that. This one is, it's close. It sounds the same, but it's not. Now what we're doing in the C chord is the same thing we did up here on the G. So C, C7, F, C. So from the C chord, we're going to go straight into your F chord, just like we did before, and we're going to do that same double stop pull off that we did in the first break. Now Don does vary it just a little bit here. He pulls off twice on these double stops, kind of like that. And then I'm going to get my ring and my pinky finger in place and to slide up from the 4th or 5th fret all the way up to your 14th fret. Sound like this. You listen to the record to get that slide right. You know, he really drags that thing out and it sounds great. And then I'm not really hitting the 14th fret again. I'm just sliding up to it. All right. Now I'm in place to do this little double stop lick. And I'm going to come down on the 1st and 2nd strings. And I'm going to hit the string open first and then clip it off by doing this double stop. We're out of this barred position G. So we're going to do this double stop on the 1st and 2nd strings. Lay your fingers flat across it. I'm going to hit the strings first and then clip it off with that double stop. It sounds like this. All right. Sometimes I can do it with both fingers or lay my fingers flat, whatever's more comfortable for you. So. And what I'm doing is I'm hitting the strings open, then down with a double stop, hitting the strings again open, then back down, and then I'm hitting the 13th fret. You don't want it to ring. Of course, you'll be going so fast it won't ring much anyway, but remember to keep your pressure on your bridge a little bit with the fat of your hand back here. So, okay. And then we're going to hammer on from the 13th fret to the 14th fret and do this same kind of thing, this same kind of hopping type effect with strings in between, open strings in between the double stops. So, we're just going to walk that down to your, back to your C chord. of hard to slow it down. Just 1, 2, 3, with little open notes in between. Okay, and I'm coming back here to the 10th fret and hammering on that partial C chord. And then I'm grabbing the 4th and 3rd strings of your C chord to end it. Let me play that whole thing. Okay, and then I'm ending it with that little kind of a lick like we did in the first break, but I'm leaving the 7th note out. Okay, let me play that slow. I am hitting the string open, but it's clipped off. You could walk it up 1, 2, 3. It's a little bit of difference, but when you're playing it fast, you can barely hear that first note versus an open note. Don uses this lick a lot to end breaks or even backup work. I think he even did it in Since Wedding Bells Have Rung. I think I played it in that video, actually. But it's the same lick. So let me play that whole little passage. Okay, I'm going to play this break all the way through for you. I'm going to play it at a little slower tempo so you can play along with me. Hopefully this will give you an idea of how all this comes together. And that's Coffee Cup.